And now let's take a closer look at what Sunday's nuclear test means in terms of the progress North Korea is making in its nuclear program. For that, we're joined by an expert in the field, Professor Seo Kyun-young of Seoul National University. Professor Seo, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, the claim is this. North Korea came out a few hours after the test and said that it conducted a test of perfect success, it said, in fact, of a thermonuclear weapon, a hydrogen bomb. Now, they've made many, many dubious claims over the years about the capabilities. How can we verify that this was an H-bomb rather than, say, a higher yield fission bomb?
Okay. Actually, it's a tough question, by the way. There are going to be actually no ways to check really on whether this was a fission bomb or fusion bomb, because we got just barely enough. It's not even enough, just a magnitude Richter scale 5.6 or 6.3. That's not good enough. We can just think about yield. So from that scarce data, we can still make a guess, probably educated guess. My guess is that it could be pretty much matured fission bomb or pretty much premature fusion bomb as far as yield is concerned. So there are going to be no solutions to this problem of whether they did fusion bomb testing, or which is actually hydrogen bomb testing, or atomic bomb testing. But the more important thing is that this is not a sheer game changer. They have totally redefined the rule of the game when it comes to nuclear warhead on the Korean Peninsula. That's the point.
Okay, well, some are pointing out that one of the tunnels used, that the tunnel used for the test may have collapsed. And people are asking, what does that indicate about the test? Perhaps either a very powerful weapon or a poorly constructed tunnel?
Both, as far as I'm concerned, because this has been like sixth in a series, hopefully the last one. So that literally means that they've been suffering from this previous test, maybe 5 of them, or even more, because they are not supposed to succeed all the time. There may have been some failures which were not really detected by the outside countries. So that means that maybe more than 5 times of pre-testing might have already damaged the groundwork so far. And then this turns out to be the last blow. Like they just put the last nail in the coffin of the Mantap Mountain. So this just sort of collapsed. So who knows what? But one thing for sure is that this time it was really powerful, much more powerful than last year's one, probably 5 times, even 20 times. Think about this. It's more than almost 10 Hiroshima bombs. Well, isn't it scary?
That it was a more powerful bomb is pretty clear.
That was actually blasted underground, so there's good reason that the ground shook. And at the border, there was a basically earthquake. It's like a man-made earthquake being felt everywhere. So it must have been a very clear signal that there has been something big that went on yesterday.
Right. Well, another key claim in this whole thing is that this is a weapon that can be fitted onto a missile. Now, that could be a long-range missile. Some are saying it could even be put onto a medium or short-range missile. How credible is that claim?
Oh, that's another great question, by the way. But there's, again, no way of telling unless we have some more data. But my guess is that if we take a look at their basically replica of the design, which were presented actually just a few hours before the real testing, then that literally tells me that it looks very light, probably less than a ton. So that clearly tells me that they might be able to really tip the missile with less than 1 ton, basically a warhead. This literally means that their missile might be able to reach not just the West Coast, not Middle East, but also actually, I mean, Midwest, but also the East Coast, if they manage to really further downsize their warhead. So maybe not tonight, but it's coming. Maybe by the end of this year, maybe next year, early next year, it'll come. So the real nightmare is just around the corner. That's the real scary part of the whole story. The story is still unfolding. It's in progressive form.
Could we focus a bit more on that point? It has been over 10 years since North Korea first tested a nuclear weapon. Using the example of other countries, there are 7 or 8 of them, I believe, that have nuclear weapons. And the time frame in which they developed them, where do you see North Korea going forward, say, in 10 years?
Actually, there's been a lot of delays. And think about this. The first one was done in 2006. So it's been more than 10 years. But if you take a look back at the United States, they've done it in 7 years. 7 years ago, so according to that standard and criterion, they've been really struggling because of the lack of infrastructure, lack of money and everything, labor and basically manpower, but they somehow still miraculously managed to make it, and that just took place yesterday. So again, we are living in a totally different world today, actually starting from yesterday. So it's really clear sign to the international community that they've really done something really great on their views.
Yield aside, I mean, range aside, or other technical factors, the yield itself is
really impressive. And think about it, 5, even 20 Hiroshima bombs, that's like a just killer.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and for your insights, Professor Seo.
Thank you.